I never made it.
To me, the study of science is the study of, or investigation of the unknown.
Got my statement, and I mean.
So what's the process of doing science? Well, you have to start with an observation.
Right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you.
What is an observation? An observation is when you recognize something that is different from its surroundings. For example, you go outside and you look at some grass and you recognize that it is green. You just made an observation. Grass is green. Another example might be going outside and noticing a rattlesnake, and you notice that it has rattles at the end of its body. Why does it have rattles at the end of its body? That's an observation. So why is the grass green? The grass is green because it has pigments in its tissues. Guess what? I just made a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess to the answer of your question. Next step in the process of the scientific method is to do an experiment. This is a test to see if your hypothesis can be disproved. Dr. Klein, aren't we trying to prove our hypothesis? Well, kind of. It's really hard in science to prove anything with any certainty that you're correct. So what we actually try and do in science is to prove ourselves wrong. We call that a null hypothesis.
I wanna see you more than this. And every time you're lost, I wonder if you know you're missed. I'm breathing when I can, and I only hope you're watching this.
Science, it is really difficult to prove anything with absolute certainty. And so instead of trying to prove our hypothesis correct, we actually try and prove it incorrect when we do an experiment.
To someone who will love me, yeah, I'm doing when I met you. I'm not the only one who's alone. Find me soon and take me home. I knew it when I saw you.
After you're done with the experiment, your next step is to draw conclusions. Was your hypothesis correct? If it was correct, great! Then you can go on to do other experiments to support your evidence. If your hypothesis was proven wrong, then you got to go back to the drawing board and make another hypothesis and start again. At the end of your first chapter in your textbook, you will see a diagram depicting the scientific method. Is this how all science is done, these 4 steps? Well, kind of. There's lots of different iterations of the scientific method, hundreds actually. And so you should expect quite a variety of those 4 steps. But those 4 steps, observation, hypothesis, experiment, and draw conclusions, are really the foundation of how science is done. The thing I love about the scientific method is that we all do it. Every day we do the scientific method. When we're little, we might try and touch a stove and we wonder what that hot red thing on our in our kitchen is, and so we put our hands on it and we test, experiment. Hopefully we learn the first time that it's hot and that we shouldn't touch it again, but it's a natural instinct for us to do this discovery and investigation every day of our lives. We're just putting a name to the process. I want to say one other thing with the scientific process. It's not perfect, but it is the best that we have, and it's fairly good. And over time, when people do lots of different experiments trying to prove or disprove some aspect of science, we come to what we know as a consensus. And when a whole bunch of scientists come together and have a consensus, we have a solid theory, which eventually could become a law. When we have solid theory, because lots of different scientists have come to the same conclusion, we can have lots of confidence that the science has been done right.